パパパパパおはようございます。こんばんは。おやすみ。俺は名前はFumiyoくん。俺は最強妖怪。よろしくお願いします。Hello everyone, my name is Fumiyoくん, the best ghost and the only ghost that you need. And welcome to another, well, not really another, but more like the first of many Sherlock Holmes streams where we'll be reading. And I have my cup of tea here. Hold on. Good tea. Good tea. Solid old tea. Hello everyone, hello. Hello Monk Thomas Torton, hello mate, welcome to stream. You are first, baby. Yes, you are first. Hello mate, how you doing? R+4, hello, welcome to stream. Hello, it's always nice to see you here. Hello, how you doing? Potatoes cancelled, hello, how you doing? Doing alright, I hope. Hello, Puppet, welcome to stream. Hey. Hello, Sarah, welcome to stream. Hello, it's always nice to see you here, darling. Hello, Layra, welcome to stream. Hello, how you doing? I'm reading the books you've always wanted to read. Hello everyone. Today we will be reading, so some reading is going to be happening, really. That's all that we're going to be doing. So if I'm going to ask of you anything, and I ask only so little, I would like you all to grab a blanket, a cup of tea perhaps, maybe a cup of coffee if you're one of those people that you enjoy coffee while drinking, or drinking but like reading. Just calm down. Today is going to be a relaxing day, a day of complete and absolute relaxation. So just enjoy yourself, really. We'll be reading chapter 1, and I think even chapter 2, possibly. We're going to be ending stream in the next hour and a half. So after 1 hour and 30 minutes, or perhaps maybe even 2 hours if we can, we will be going on to do so. So please sit back, relax, eat your food or your drink, and enjoy this journey with me. Me eating food, listening to Fumi Heaven. I hope your food is good though. Alright. So today we will be reading A Study in Scarlet, which is the first book ever, well not really ever, but the first book by Sir Conan Arthur Doyle, which is the person who wrote Sherlock Holmes. This is the very first outing of Sherlock Holmes in an official novelization, which is nice, obviously, and hopefully you will enjoy it. Oh, it's not halal, so alright. We'll still enjoy. Have a bit of water. Shall we get started then? I wonder how you incorporate comment this stream. No, we're not doing that. This is going to be a sacred place of holiness. Clean in the most cleanest way possible. Best, keep this place clean. We'll have come another day. Tried to read this, but it was too boring for me, not gonna lie. Oh, it's amazing. I love this book. Well, here we are, chat. Shall we get started? In the year 1878, I took my degree of Doctor of Medicine of the University of London and proceeded to Netley to go through the course prescribed for surgeons in the army. Having completed my studies there, I was duly attached to the 5th Northumberland Fusiliers as assistant surgeon. The regiment was stationed in India at the time, and before I could join it, the Second Afghan War had broken out. On landing at Bombay, I learned that my corps had advanced through the passes and was already deep in the enemy's country. I followed, however, with many other officers who were in the same situation as myself, and succeeded in reaching Kandahar in safety, where I found my regiment and at once entered upon my new duties. Hi Mia, hello, welcome to stream. Hi Mia, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. So have you read Sherlock Holmes before? Yes, I have. I've read all of his books. I think all of them, even the young Sherlock Holmes ones. The Bird Chronicle, I see. The Art of War. Oh, The Art of War's good. Hello, Period King, hello. Oh, Period King. Hello, Reese, welcome to stream. Hello. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. The campaign brought honours and promotions to many. But for me, it had nothing but misfortune and disaster. I was removed from my brigade and attached to the Berkshires, with whom I served at the fatal Battle of Maiwand. There I was struck on the shoulder by a Jazali bullet, which shattered the bone and grazed the subclavian artery. I should have fallen into the hands of the murderous Ghazis had it not been for the devotion and courage shown by Murray, my orderly, who threw me across a pack horse and succeeded in bringing me safely to the British lines. Worn with pain and weak from the prolonged hardships which I had undergone, I was removed with a great train of wounded sufferers to the base hospital at Peshawar, Here I railed, and had I already improved so far as to be able to walk among the wards, and even to bask a little upon the veranda, when I was struck down by eccentric fever, the curse of our Indian possessions. For months my life was despaired of, and when at last I came to myself and became convalescent, I was so weak and emanated that the medical board determined that not a day should be lost in sending me back to England. I was dispatched accordingly in the troop ship Orontes, and landed a month later on Portsmouth jetty, with my health irrelevantly ruined, but with permission from a parental government to spend the next 9 months in attending to improving it. Had neither kith nor kin in England, and was therefore as free as air, or as free as an income of 11 shillings and 6pence a day will permit a man to be. Under such circumstances, I naturally gravitated towards London, that great cesspool into which all the loungers and idlers of the empire are irresistibly drained. There I stayed for some time at a private hotel in the Strand, leading a comfortless, meaningless existence, and spending such money as I had, considerably more freely than I ought to. So alarming did the state of my finances become that I soon realized that I must either leave the metropolis and rusticate somewhere in the country, or that I must make a complete alteration in my style of living. Choosing the latter alternative, I began by making up my mind to leave the hotel, and to take up my quarters in some less pretentious and less expensive irrelevantly. And here we are. On the very day that I'd come into this conclusion, I was standing at the Criterion bar when someone tapped me on the shoulder, and turning round I recognized young Stamford, who had been a dresser under me at Bart's. The sight of a friendly face in the great wilderness of London is a pleasant thing indeed to a lonely man. In old days, Stamford had never been a particular crony of mine, but now I hailed him with enthusiasm, and he, in his turn, appeared to be delighted to see me. In the exuberance of my joy, I'd asked him to go to lunch with me at the Holborn, and we started off together in a hansom. "What have you been doing with yourself, Watson?" he asked in an undistinguished wonder as we rattled through the crowded streets of London. "You are as thin as a lath and as brown as a nut." I gave him a short sketch of my adventures, and had hardly concluded it by the time that we reached our destination. "Poor devil," he said, after he had listened to my misfortunes. "What are you up to now?" "I'm looking for lodgings," I answered, trying to solve the problem as to whether it is possible to get comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. "Well, that's a strange thing," remarked my companion. "You are the second person, really are, second man even, today that has asked me or has used that expression to me." "And who was the first?" I asked him. "A fellow who is working at the chemical laboratory up at the hospital. He was bemoaning himself this morning because he could not get someone to go halves with him in some nice rooms which he had found, and which were too much for his purse." "By Jove," I cried. "If he really wants someone to share the rooms and the expense, I am the very man for him. I should prefer having a partner to being alone." Young Stamford, looking rather strangely at me over his wine glass. "You don't know Sherlock Holmes yet," he said. "Perhaps you would not care for him as a constant companion." "Why? What is there against him?" he said. "Oh, I didn't say there was anything against him. He's a little queer in his ideas, an enthusiast in some branches of science. As far as I know, he is a decent fellow enough." "A medical student, I suppose?" I said. "No. I have no idea what he intends to go in for. I believe he is well up in anatomy. He's a first-class chemist, but as far as I know, he has never taken out any systematic medical classes. His studies are very desultory and eccentric, but he had amassed a lot of knowledge, or out-of-the-way knowledge more like, which would astonish his professors." "Did you never ask him what he was going in for?" I asked. "No, he's not a man that is easy to draw out, though he can be communicative enough when he fancies something." "I should like to meet him," I said. If I am to lounge with anyone, I should prefer a man of studious and quiet habits. I'm not strong enough yet to stand much noise or excitement. I had enough of that both in Afghanistan to last me for the remainder of my natural existence. How could I meet this friend of yours? He is sure to be at the laboratory, returned my companion. He is either avoids the place for weeks, or else he works there from morning to night. If you like, we shall drive round together after lunchtime. Certainly, I answered, and the conversation drifted away into other channels. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Poking. Welcome to stream. Excuse me. As we made our way to the hospital after leaving the Holborn, Stamford gave me a few more particles about the gentleman whom I proposed to take as a fellow lodger. You mustn't blame me if you don't get on with him, he said. I know nothing more of him than I have learned from meeting him occasionally in the laboratory. You proposed this arrangement, so you must not hold me responsible. If we don't get on with it as easy as that, we part company, I answered. It seems to me, Stamford, I looking hard at my companion, that you have come reason for washing your hands of the matter. Is this fellow's temper so formidable, or what is it? Don't be so mealy-mouthed about it. It is not easy to express the inexpressible, he answered with a laugh. Holmes is a little too scientific for my taste. It approaches to cold-bloodedness. I could imagine him giving a friend a little pinch of the latest vegetable allicade, not out of malevolence, you understand, but simply out of spirit of inquiry in order to have an accurate idea of the effects. To him, justice, I think that he would take it himself with the same readiness. He appears to have a passion for definite and exact knowledge. They were right too. Yes, but it may be pushed to excess. When it comes to beating the subjects in dissecting rooms with a stick, it is certainly taking rather a bizarre shape. Beating the subjects? Yes. To verify how far bruises may be produced after death, I saw it with my own eyes. And yet you say he is not a medical student. Hello, Ryan. Welcome. How you doing, mate? No. Heavens, no. That's what that man is doing. But here we are, and you must form your own impressions about him. As he spoke, we turned down a narrow lane and passed through a small side door, which opened into a wing of a great hospital. It was familiar ground to me, and I needed no guiding as we ascended the bleak stone staircase and made our way down the long corridor with its vista of whitewashed wall and dun-coloured doors. Near the further end, a low arched passageway branched away from it and led to the medical laboratory. Listening to Hyung and looking at the weather outside, you literally can feel the Sherlock Holmes story. Cutie. Okay. This was a lofty chamber, lined and littered with countless bottles. Broad, long, low tables were scattered about, which bristled with retorts, test tubes, and their little Bunsen lamps with their blue flickering flames. There was only one student in the room, who was bending over a distant table, absorbed in his work. At the sound of our footsteps, he glanced around and sprang to his feet with a cry of pleasure. I found it! I found it! He shouted to my companion, running towards us with a test tube in his hand. I found the reagent which is precipitated by hemoglobin, and by nothing else. Had he discovered a gold mine, great delight could not have faded upon his face. Dr. Watson, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, said Stamford, introducing us. How are you? He said cordially, gripping my hand with a strength from which I should hardly have given him credit. You've been in Afghanistan, I perceive. How on earth did you know that? I asked in astonishment. Never mind, said he, chuckling to himself. The question now is about hemoglobin. No doubt you see the significance of the discovery of mine. It's interesting. Chemically, no doubt, I answered, but practically? Why, man, it is the most practical, medieval discovery for years. Don't you see that it gives us an inflammable test for bloodstains? Come over here now. He seized me by the coat sleeves in his eagerness and drew me over to the table at which he had been working. Let's have some fresh blood, he said, digging a long budkin into his finger and drawing out of the result of a drop of blood into the chemical pipette. Now, I add a small quantity of blood to a liter of water. You perceive that the resulting mixture has the appearance of pure water. The proportion of blood cannot be more than 1 in a million. I have no doubt, however, that we shall be able to obtain characteristic reactions. As he spoke, he drew into a vessel a few white crystals and then added some drops of translucent fluid. In an instant, the contents assumed a dull mahogany color and a brownish dust was precipitated to the bottom of the glass jar. Hello, how you doing, soul? How you doing? Okay. Haha, he cried, clapping his hand and looking as delighted as a child with a new toy. What do you think of that? It seems to be a very delicate test, I remarked. Beautiful, beautiful. The old cacodium test was very clumsy, uncertain. So is the microscopic examination for blood corpuscles. The latter is valueless if the stains are a few hours old. Now this appears to act as a well whether the blood is old or new. Had this test been invented, there were hundreds of men now walking down the earth who would have been long ago have paid the penalty of their crimes. Indeed, I murmured. Criminal cases are continually hinging upon that one point. A man is suspected of a crime months before after it has been committed. His linen or clothes have already been examined, and brownish stains discovered upon them. Are they blood stains, or mud stains, or rust stains, or fruit stains, or what are they? That is a question which has puzzled many experts, and why? Because there was no reliable test. Now we have the Sherlock Holmes test, and there will no longer be any difficulty. His eyes fairly glittered as he spoke, and he had put his hand over his heart and bowed as if to some applauding crowd conjured up his imagination. You are to be congratulated, I remarked, considerably surprised at his enthusiasm. There was a case of von Bischkov at Frankfurt last year. He would certainly have been hung had his test been in existence. Then there was Mason of Bradford, and the notorious Muller, and Lefebvre Montpellier, and Samson of New Orleans. I could name scores of cases in which it would have been decisive. You seem to be a walking calendar of crime, said Stamford with a laugh. You might start a paper on those lines, call it the Police News of the Past. Very interesting read it might be made too, remarked Sherlock Holmes, sticking a small piece of plaster over the prick of his finger. I have to be careful, he continued, turning to me with a smile, for I dabble with a poisonous deal. He held his hand. He held his hand as he spoke, and I noticed that it was molted over with similar pieces of plaster and discolored with strong acids. Puppet, stop it. Thank you so much. Puppet, super chat, arigatou gozaimasu. Oh my god. Thank you so much, Puppet, for the money. Thank you. Hello. Super chat already down. Are you winning, son? Hello, Hohi, welcome to stream. Hi, hello. I'm reading. I think I'm winning. Discombobulate Fumi speedrun. Hey, yo. Thank you so much for the money, Puppet. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see, where was I? Here you go. No. Here we are. Found it. Well, we came here on business, said Stamford, sitting down on the highest three-legged stool and pushing another one in my direction with his foot. My friend here wanted to take diggings, and as you were complaining that you could not get no one to go halves with you, I thought that I had better bring you someone. Sherlock seemed delighted at the idea of sharing his room with me. I have my eye on a suite in Baker Street. Excuse me? Let's go. I have my eyes on a suite in Baker Street, he said, which would suit us down on the ground. You don't mind the smell of a strong tobacco, I hope? I always smoke ships myself, I answered. That's good enough. I generally have chemicals about and occasionally do experiments. Would that annoy you? And by no means. Let me see. What are my other shortcomings? I get in the dumps at times and don't open my mouth for days on end. You must not think I'm sulking when I do that. Just leave me alone and I'll be soon all right. What have you to confess now? It's all just well for two fellows to know the worst of one another before they begin to live together. I laughed at this cross-examination. I keep a bullpup, I said, and I object to Rose because my nerves are shaken, and I get up all sorts of ungodly hours, and I'm extremely lazy. I have another set of vices when I'm well, but those are the principal ones at present. Do you include violin playing in your category of Rose? He asked anxiously. It depends on the player, I answered. A well-played violin is a treat for the gods. A badly played one, well... Oh, that's all right, he cried with a merry laugh. I think we may consider the thing as settled. That is, if the rooms are agreeable to you. When shall we see them? Call for me here at noon tomorrow, and we'll go together and settle things together, he answered. All right, noon exactly, said I, shaking his hand. We left him working among his chemicals, and we walked together towards my hotel. By the way, I asked suddenly, stopping and turning upon Stamford, how the deuce did he know that I had come from Afghanistan? My companion smiled, a maniacal smile. That's just a little peculiarity, he said. A good many people have wanted to know how he finds things out. Oh, a mystery, is it? I cried, rubbing my hands. That is a very bequeath, and I am quite obliged to you for bringing us together. The proper study of mankind is man, you know. You must study him then, Stamford said, as he bade me a goodbye. You'll find him a knotty problem, though. I'll wager he learns more about you than you know about him. Goodbye. Goodbye, I answered, and strolled on to my hotel, considerably interested in my new acquaintance. Can I throw Sprite at Fumiyo? Don't do that. I don't think that's a good idea. But that is the end of Chapter 1. That was far shorter than I thought it would. Excuse me. On to Chapter 2. The Science of Deduction. Wow. We met next day, as he had arranged, and inspected the rooms at number 221B Baker Street, of which he had spoken at our meeting. They consisted of a couple of comfortable bedrooms and a single large, airy sitting room, cheerfully furnished and illuminated by two broad windows. So desirable in every way were the apartments, and so moderate did the terms seem when divided between us, that the bargain was concluded upon the spot, and we at once entered into possession. That very evening, I moved my things around from the hotel, and on the following morning Sherlock Holmes followed me with several boxes and portmanteaus. Yes. Portmanteaus. For a day or two, we were busily employed in unpacking and laying out our property to the best advantage. That done, we gradually began to settle down and accommodate ourselves to our new surroundings. Holmes was certainly not a difficult man to live with. He was quiet in his ways, and his habits were regular. It was rare for him to be up after 10 at night, and he had invariably breakfasted and gone out before I rose in the morning. Sometimes he spent his day at the chemical laboratory, and sometimes in dissecting rooms, and occasionally in long walks, which appeared to take him into the lowest portions of the city. Nothing could exceed his energy when the working fit was upon him, but now and again a reaction would seize him, and for days on end he would lie upon the sofa in his sitting room, hardly uttering a word or moving a muscle from morning to night. On these occasions I have noticed such a dreamy, vacant expression in his eyes, that I might have suspected him of being addicted to the use of some narcotic, had not the temperance and cleanliness of his whole life forbidden such a notion. I am discombobulated. What? Posture check. I am fine. My posture is fine. Have you seen a series, Sherlock Holmes series? Yes, I've seen a Sherlock Holmes series. The first two seasons were good. Every season after season 2 was terrible. It became a dramatic show rather than a detective show, which is not really good considering how Sherlock Holmes is a detective mystery show, or detective mystery book, rather than a dramatised novella. But hey. As the weeks went by, my interest in him and my curiosity as to his aims in life gradually deepened and increased. I would listen to an audio if he voiced it. Thank you, you're too kind. And hello, Russian Cat, welcome to the stream. Hello, how you doing, mate? Have you seen the animated manga? No, I have not. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? Yes. As the weeks went by, my interest in him and my curiosity as to his aims in life gradually deepened and increased. His very person and appearance was such as to strike the attention of the most casual observer. In height, he was rather over 6 feet, and so excessively lean that he seemed to be considerably taller. His eyes were sharp and piercing, save during those intervals of torpor to which I have alluded, and his thin, hawk-like nose gave his whole expression an air of alertness and decision. His chin, too, had the prominence and squareness which marked the man of determination. His hands were invariably bloated with ink and stained with chemicals, yet he was possessed of extraordinary delicacy of touch, as I frequently had occasion to observe when I watched him manipulating his frail philosophical instruments. The reader may set me down as a hopeless busybody when I confess about how much this man stimulated my curiosity, and how often I endeavoured to break through the reticence which he has shown on all that concerned himself. Before pronouncing judgment, however, be it remembered how objectiveless was my life, and how little there was to engage my attention. My health forbade me from venturing out unless the weather was exceptionally genial, and I had no friends who would call upon me and break the momentary notion of my daily existence. Under these circumstances, I eagerly hailed the little mystery which hung around my companion and spent much of my time in endearing. Oh, I've lost where I went because I looked to my side. Hold on. Join delicacy of touch, frequently instruments, engage my attention. There we go. My health, genial companion, spent much of my time endeavoring to unravel it. There we go. Is this Moriarty, the Patriot? What? What? I'm confused. Ooh, Sherlock Holmes. Yes, Sherlock Holmes. Hi. Yes, Schumer. Yes. Okay, now I've got to study. I have an exam tomorrow. Bye. I hope you have a great stream. Thank you so much for coming by, Russian Cat. I hope that you have a lovely time studying, and I hope that your exams go well. Thank you so much for coming by. God, this is giving me war flashbacks. Oh God, I hope it's not bad war flashbacks. He was not studying medicine. He had himself, in reply to a question, confirmed Stamford's opinion about that point. Neither did he appear to have persuaded any course of reading which might fit him for a degree in science, or any other recognized portal which would give him an entrance into the learned world. Yet his zeal for certain studies were remarkable, and within eccentric limits, his knowledge was so extraordinarily ample and minute that his observations have fairly astounded me. Surely, no man would work so hard to retain such precious information unless he had some definite end in view. Delusory readers are seldom remarkable for the extractness of their learning. No man burdens his mind with small matters unless he has some very good reason for doing so. His ignorance was remarkable as his knowledge. Of contemporary literature, philosophy, and politics he appeared to know the next to nothing. Upon my quoting Thomas Carlyle, he inquired in the naviest way who he might be and what he had done. My surprise reached to a climax, however, when I find incidentally that he was ignorant of the Copernican theory and of the composition of the solar system. That any civilization human being in the 19th century should not be aware that the earth traveled around the sun appeared to be so extraordinary, and I hardly could realize it. Are you reading both parts? I am reading as much as I can before the stream ends. Also known as basically reading what I can. Hello, Emerson. Emma? Can I call you Emma? Hello, Emma, if that's okay. Hello. Fumiyo reading competition. I challenge you, hee. I am not going to do well. I'm not good at reading. But thank you for the offer. Where was I? Here we are. You appear to be astonished, he said, smiling at my expression of surprise. Now that I do know, I shall do my best to forget it. To forget it, you see, he explained. I considered a man's brain originally just like a little empty attic. You have to stock it with such furniture as you choose. A fool takes in all the lumber of every sort that he comes across, so that the knowledge which might be useful to him gets crowded out, or at best is jumbled up with lots of other things, so that he has difficulty in laying his hands down upon it. Now, the skillful workman is very careful indeed as to what he takes into his brain at it. He will have nothing but tools which may help him in doing his work, but of these he has a large assortment, and all in all, the most perfect order. It is a mistake to think that the little room has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. Depend upon it, there comes a time when for every addition of knowledge you forget something that you knew before. It is of the highest importance, therefore, not to have useless facts elbowing out the useful ones. But the solar system, I propose. What the deuce is it to me? He interrupted impatiently. You say that we go around the sun. If we went round the moon, it would not make a penny's worth of a difference to me or to my work. I was on the point of asking him what was that work that he might be doing, but something in his manner showed me that the question would be an unwelcome one. I pondered over our short conversation, however, and endeavoured to draw my deductions from it. He said that he would acquire no knowledge which did not bear upon his object. Therefore, all the knowledge which he possessed was such as would be useful to him. I enumerated in my own mind all the various points upon which he had shown me he was exceptionally well informed. I even took a pencil and jotted them down. I could not help smiling at the document when I had completed it. It ran in this way. If I read at full speed, I could do 100 pages in an hour. That makes my brain fried. I tend to just read slowly. I like enjoying books. I like to take my time in them, have a bit of tea or coffee. Enjoy the mood. I don't really like reading quickly, unless it's a studying book or a textbook, then yes, I'll do it quickly. Hello, Leica, welcome to stream. Hello, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. So, Sherlock Holmes' knowledge is knowledge of literature, nil. Philosophy, nil. Astronomy, nil. Politics, feeble. Botany, variable. Well, up in belladonna, optium and poisons generally. There's nothing of practical gardening. Geology, practical but limited. Tells at a glance different soils from each other. After walks, has showed me splashes upon his trousers and told me by their colour and consistency in what part of London he has received them. Chemistry, profound. Anatomy, accurate but unsystematic. Excuse me. Leica, my brain hurts. Oh, I hope it feels better. Leiru, hello. I set a goal of set pages a day so I can actually complete the book. Just relax, really. Sensational literature. Immense. He appears to know every detail of every horror perpetuated in the century. Plays the violin. Well, is an expert in single-stick player, boxer and swordsmanship. Has a good practical knowledge of British law. Studied for about 15 hours straight, and right when getting something to eat saw a cockroach. Oh, well, thank you so much for your hard work of studying. I hope that it all pays off. It will. I hope so. Thank you so much for your work, and please try your best to eat. I know the cockroach might be terrifying, but try your best. When I had gotten so far in my list, I threw it into the fire in despair. If I could only find what the fellow was driving at by reconciling all these accomplishments and discovering a calling which needs them all, I said to myself, I may as well just give up the attempt at once. And I see that I have allotted above to his powers upon the violin. These were very remarkable, but as eccentric as all his other accomplishments. That he could play pieces and difficult pieces, I knew well, because at my request he has played me some of Mendelssohn's Lieder and other favourites. When left to himself, however, he would seldom produce any music or attempt any recognised air. Leaning back into his armchair of an evening, he would even close his eyes and scrap carelessly at the fiddle, which was thrown across his knee. Sometimes the chords were sonorous and melancholy. Occasionally, they were fantastic and cheerful. Clearly, they reflected the thoughts which possessed him. But whether the music aided those thoughts, or whether the playing was simply the result of a whim or fancy was more than I could determine. I might have rebelled against these exasperating solos had it not been that he usually terminated them by playing in a quick succession a whole series of my favorite airs as a slight compensation for the trial upon my patience. Oh, thank you so much, Mia, for your lurk. Thank you. Also, on my bed, I'm moving out of my room to the sofa. I see. Onto the sofa. Exam starts at 7th of April. I must study. Well, I know that your studies will go well. Good luck on your exams, and please tell me how they go. During the first week or so, we had no callers, and I began to think that my companion was a friendless man as I was myself. Presently, however, I found that he had many acquaintances, and those in the most different classes of society. There was one little shallow, rat-faced, dark-eyed fellow who was introduced to me as Mr. Lestrade, and who came 3 or 4 times in a single week. I'd rather not tell. Oh, okay. They will suck. No, I believe in you, Leiko. You will do fantastic. You'll do well. My new term is starting tomorrow. Well, I hope your new term goes well tomorrow. Unless it's an April Fool's joke, then, you know. Good luck, though. One morning, a young girl called, fashionably dressed, and stayed for half an hour. The same afternoon brought a grey-headed steed visitor, looking like a Jew peddler, who appeared to me to be much excited, and who was closely followed by a slip-shod elderly woman. On another occasion, an old white-haired gentleman had an interview with my companion, and on another railway porter in his velveteen uniform. When any of these nondescript individuals put in an appearance, Sherlock used to beg for the use of the sitting room, and I would retire to my bedroom. He always apologized to me for putting me to this inconvenience. I have to use this room as a place of business, he said, and these people are my clients. Again, I had an opportunity of asking him a point-blank question, and again, my delicacy prevented me from forcing another man to confide in me. I imagined at the time that he had some strong reason for not alluding to it, but soon dispelled the idea by coming round to the subject of his very own accord. It was upon the 4th of March, as I have good reason to remember, that I rose somewhat earlier than usual and found that Sherlock Holmes has not yet finished his breakfast. The landlady had become so accustomed to my late habits that my place had not been laid nor my coffee prepared. With the unreasonable petulance of mankind, I rang the bell and gave a curt intimation that I was ready. When I picked up a magazine from the table and attempted to while away the time with it, while my companion munched silently at his toast, one of the articles had a pencil mark at the heading, and I naturally began to run my eyes through it. I studied for a that was meant to be tomorrow, but turns out that it is April Fool's joke from the teachers. Oof. Oh, that's problematic. Well, I hope, hey, you studied early, that's good. That means that you can use that information later on for an exam. Still, good job, I'm proud of you. Oh, where am I? Oh, an accord. March 4th. Do it. Here we go. Its somewhat ambitious title was The Book of Life, and it attempted to show how much an observant man might learn by an accurate and systematic examination of all that came in his way. It struck me as being a remarkable mixture of shrewdness and of absurdity. The reasoning was close and intense, but the deductions appeared to be far-fetched and exaggerated. The writer claimed by a momentary expression, a twitch of a muscle or a glance of an eye to fathom a man's inmost thoughts. Deceit, according to him, was an impossibility in the case of one trained to the observation and analysis. His conclusions were as infallible as so many proportions of elucid. So, startling would his results appear to be unintimidated. Unintimidated? Unintimidated. Yes, unintimidated. Hi, Fumi. Hello, Gilgamesh. Welcome to stream. Hello, how you doing? How you doing? I don't think I've ever read an actual Sherlock Holmes book. I mean, I've seen all the movies and the shows, and I even watched some of the summaries of the books on YouTube, but I haven't read one. Well, welcome then. Come here, Gilgamesh. We shall read this book together. Though the summarizations or the Penguin books are not that good, but they have the most important parts, so they're fine. The British BBC adaptation was good, but was not, great. It was mid at best. The movies were perfectly alright, though Robert Downey Jr. could have been a little bit better. The games were rubbish, to say the least. So yeah, I've read quite a bit of it, so yes. Where was I? Ah, yes. So startling would his roles appear to be unintimidated that until they learned the processes by which he had arrived at them, they might well consider him a necromancer. From a drop of water, said the writer, a Longsian could infer the possibility of an Atlantic or a... I can't read that word, that would be problematic for me to read because of how I usually pronounce things, without having seen or heard one of the other. So all life is a great chain, the nature of which is known, whether we are shown a single link of it. Like all other arts, the science of deduction and analysis is one which can only be acquired by long and patient study, nor is life long enough to allow any mortal man to attain the highest possibility of perfection in it. Before turning to those moral and mental aspects of the matter which present the greatest difficulties, let the inquirer begin by mastering more elementary problems. Let him, on meeting a fellow mortal, learn at a glance to distinguish the history of the man, and then trade or profession to which he belongs. Puerile as such as exercise may seem, it sharpens the facilities of observation and teaches one where to look and what to look for. By a man's fingernails, by his coat sleeve, by his boot, by his trouser knees, by the calluses of his forefingers and thumb, by his expression, by his shirt cuffs, by each of these things a man's calling is plainly revealed. That all united should fail to enlighten the competent inquirer in any way or any case is almost incohesive. What ineffable twaddle, I cried, slapping the magazine down on the table. I've never read such rubbish in my life. What is it? Asked Sherlock. Why, this article, I said, pointing at it with my egg spoon as I sat down to my breakfast. I see that you have read it since you've marked it. I don't deny that it's smartly written. It irritates me, though. It is inevitably the theory of some armchair lounger who evolves all these neat little paradoxes in the seclusion of his own study. It is not practical. I should like to see him clapped down in a third-class carriage on the underground and asked to give the trades of all of his fellow travellers. I would lay 1,000 to 1 against him. You would lose your money, Sherlock Holmes remarked calmly. As for the article, I wrote it myself. You? Yes. I've turned both for observation and for deduction. The theories which I have expressed there, and which appear to you to be, well, chimерically, are really extremely practical, so practical that I depend upon them for my bread and cheese. And how? I asked, involuntarily. Well, I have a trade of my own. I suppose I am the one, or the only one in the world. I'm a consulting detective, if you can understand what that is. Here in London, we have lots of government detectives and lots of private ones. When these fellows are at fault, they come to me, and I manage to put them on the right scent. They lay all the evidence before me, and I'm generally able, by the help of my knowledge of the history of crime, to set them straight. There is a strong family resemblance about the misdeeds, and if you have all of the details of 1,000 at your finger ends, it is odd if you can't unravel the 1,001st. Lestrade is a well-known detective. He got himself into a fog recently over a foraging case, and that was what brought him here. And these other people? They are mostly sent on by private inquiry agencies. These are all people who are in trouble about something and want some enlightening. I listen to their story and they listen to my comments, and then I pocket my fee. But do you mean to say, I said, that without leaving your room you can unravel some knot which some other man cannot make nothing of, although they have seen every detail for themselves? Well, quite so. I have a kind of intuition, you could say. Now and again a case turns up which is a little more complicated. Then I have to bustle up about and see things with my own eyes. You see, I have a lot of special knowledge which I apply to the problem, and which facilitates matters wonderfully. Those rules of deduction laid down in that article which arouse your scorn are invaluable to me in my practical work. Observation with me is a second nature. You appeared to be surprised when I told you on our first meeting that you had come from Afghanistan. Oh, hello, Aaron Lee. Hello, it's been a while. I hope that you're doing well. I hope the studies have been treating you well, Aaron Lee. Hello. That Sherlock guy sounds so affable. Well, he is that guy. I will say that. He was one hell of a guy. Okay. Where was I? Afghanistan. You were told, no doubt. Nothing of that sort. I knew you came from Afghanistan. From the long habit, the train of thoughts ran so swiftly through my mind that I arrived at a conclusion without being conscious of intermediate steps. There were such steps, however. The train of reasoning ran. Here is a gentleman of medical type, but with the air of a military man, clearly an army doctor then. He has just come from the tropics, for his face is dark, and that is not a natural tint of his skin, for his wrists are fair. He has undergone hardship and sickness, as he has a haggard face. As his haggard face says clearly. His left arm has been injured. He holds it in a stiff, unnatural manner. Where in the tropics could an English army doctor have been, and has seen such hardship and got his arm wounded? Clearly in Afghanistan, the whole train of thought did not occupy a second, and then remarked that you came from Afghanistan, and you were, well, astonished. It is simple enough as you explain it. I said, smiling. You remind me of Edgar Allan Poe's Dubin. I had no idea that such individuals did exist outside of stories. Sherlock Holmes rose and lit his pipe. Now that you think that you are complimenting me and comparing me to Dubin, he observed. Now, in my opinion, Dubin was a very inferior fellow. That trick of his of breaking up or breaking in on his friend's thoughts with an appropriate remark after a quarter of an hour of silence is really very showy and superficial. He had some analytical genius, no doubt, but he was by no means such a phenomenon as Poe appeared to imagine. Have you read Gaboria works? I asked. Does Le Coupe come up to you of any an idea of a detective? Oh, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome UFC. Hello, welcome to stream. Hello, mate. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. Would you consider yourself to be affable for me? I'm here. I'm just sort of just here, mate. I'm sort of just here. It would be very awkward if Watson didn't come from Afghanistan. It would be. Okay. Sherlock sniffed sardonically. Le Coupe was a miserable bungler. Bunker? What? Bungler? Bungler? Is this bungler or bunger? Bungler, he said in an angry voice. He had only one thing to recommend him, and that was his energy. The book made me positively ill. The question was how to identify an unknown prisoner. I could have done it in 24 hours. Le Coupe took 6 months or so. It might be made a textbook for detectives to teach them what to avoid. I felt rather indigent at having two characters whom I admired treated in his cavalier manner. Continue now. Continue. What? But I might lurk because my friend is vomiting and need help. I'm worried. Take care, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Mr. Watson, actually, it was India. I took holiday. Yeah, that would have been awkward, wouldn't it be? Okay. What happened? What do you mean? I'm going to check if I have this book. I feel like I've read this. You have this book, Leiko. You do. Okay. There we are. Where was I? I walked over to the window and stood looking out into the busy street. This fellow may be very clever, I said to myself. Excuse me. But he is certainly very conceited. There are no crimes and no criminals in these days, he said, fracrulously. What is the use of having brains in our profession? I know well that I have it in me to make my name famous. No man lives or has ever lived who has brought the same amount of study and of natural talent to the detection of crime which I have done. And what is the result? There is no crime to detect, or at most some villainy with a motive so transparent that even a Scotland Yard official can see through it. I was still annoyed at his bumptious style of conversation. I thought it was best to change the subject. I wonder what that fellow is looking for, I asked, pointing to a stalwart, plainly dressed individual who was walking slowly down the other side of the street. Looking anxiously at the numbers, he had a large blue envelope in his hand, and it was inevitably the bearer of a message. "You mean the retired sergeant of Marines?" he said, Sherlock Holmes. "Bragging bounds," thought I to myself. "He knows that I cannot verify his guess." The thought had hardly passed through my mind when the man whom we were watching caught sight of the number on our door and ran rapidly across the roadway. We heard a loud knock and a deep voice below, and heavy steps ascending the stairs. "For Mr. Sherlock Holmes," he said, stepping into the room and handing my friend the letter. Here was an opportunity of taking the conceit out of him. He little thought of this when he made that random shot. "May I ask, my lad," I said, in the bluntest tone, "what trade may you be?" "Commissioner, sir," he said gruffly, "uniform away for repairs." "And you were?" I asked with a slightly malicious glance at my companion. "A sergeant, sir, Royal Marine, light infantry, sir." No answer. "Right, sir." He clicked his heels together, raised his hand in salute, and was gone. Well, that was something. But I don't think I have it. I may have sold it. Timothy Charlemagne is so handsome. Oh, okay. I only have 3 of the Sherlock Holmes books left. I have everything. Also, that's the end of chapter 2, by the way. I have, okay, so I have all the Sherlock Holmes books. I have, let's see. I have a Scarlet. I have this one massive book that's 700 pages long that contains every Sherlock Holmes novelization, newspaper clippings, short stories, and all of that stuff, basically. They contain all of the Sherlock Holmes stories. It's this big, like, leather bound with gold embroideries, gold string embroideries. It looks lovely. It's amazing. I love it with all my heart. And I've read it already. And I also own Young Sherlock Holmes, which is basically younger Sherlock Holmes, but not written by the same person. It's written by someone else. I haven't bought any of the recent Sherlock Holmes books, the things that were written by other people. So, I think there was The Mystery of Sherlock Holmes and Jack the Ripper. I have 15 books and I've only read 7 of them. I want to finish it, but I just can't. I have too many books, Alt. I have, like, let's see, I have, so in my room are the books I have either loved so much or books I have not finished yet. And in my bedroom chamber, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. I have 37 books. Oh, sorry, 27, not 37. 27 books. I have 27 books in my room right now. And outside in the corridor, there are like 3 bookshelves. And I think I have 200 books there. There's 200 books in the corridor, and I think in boxes there are some more books there. And like little boxes. I have like boxes where I store some of my books that I can't really fit in anymore. Then there's boxes. So all in all, I'd say I own 250, 300 books. 300. Well, yeah, 300. Yeah, 300, yes. I'm jealous. You have actual physical books of it. Yeah, I do. I have loads of physical books. I love books. I want to finish Angels and Demons from Dan Brown, but I'm just stuck halfway through it. I've not read that one. You have more than me. Sad. Yeah, I own a little too many books. I used to read frantically back when I was younger. I haven't read in a while. 227 and even more. Yeah, I have a lot. I sell most of mine so I can buy more. I don't sell mine. I sort of just keep them. I keep all the books that I bought, and the money that I earned back when I was in high school, I would keep that, and I would buy books every week. I think I'd buy like 2-3 books a week. So within a month, I'd buy like 10 books almost. So yeah, I bought quite a lot of books at times. I think I bought a little too many. I still buy books till this day. I still buy them. I think I'm trying to find a hard copy of the Iliad and the Odyssey, like the full original publication, not the actual original publication, but more like original length publication. So yes, we had Lord of the Rings 50 anniversary edition, but my father sold it, and me and my brother were furious. I could see why. 1K did not notice that. Yeah, I have hit 1K. It's been quite a bit. It's been quite a bit, and yeah, I'm still thankful for it. The only books that I have, Dan Brown, is The Lost Symbol and The Da Vinci Code. I think I own the Da Vinci Code. It's somewhere in the shelves. Somewhere. Very much somewhere. I'm not sure. It's somewhere. But I have quite a lot of books. Some of them are textbook books. I have quite a bit of textbook books myself. I have anatomy textbooks. I have quite a lot of anatomy textbooks. I have psychology textbooks. Loads of them. Like, for example, I have The Wisdom of a Psychopath. I also have The Lucifer Effect, How Good People Turn Evil. As well as that, I also have, let's see, the Blink. Ooh, Blink is very interesting. Actually, I'm going to talk about Blink here for a second because it relates to this. So I got this book when I was in Los Angeles in Barnes & Nobles. It was my flight from Los Angeles to Houston, Texas. And I needed a form of entertainment. I wanted something to be entertained. I wanted to read something. So I was on my merry way, just in Barnes & Nobles, and I bought this book called Blink. Blink is a psychological book. It's I guess you could call it a study paper almost, but a little too fancy. It's a book about how people, by instinct, by just glancing at something, by blinking at something, can tell for a reason that something isn't right or something is true. So, for example, the book is brought upon an example of how a person who worked at a museum looked at a statue, and upon looking at this statue, he goes that this is not of Italian made, that this statue was not Italian or Greek. I forgot what it was Greek or Italian. But when he was looking at this statue, he, who had no knowledge of what statues are supposed to be like, because he did not have knowledge on what Roman or Italian or Greek statues looked like, and I'm talking like old 1800 statues. So for some reason this man was convinced at a blink of an eye that this statue was not what it was supposed to be, like it was not Italian or Roman or something. So he kept on like thinking about it for a while and had it appraised by someone, and the person who appraised it said, no, this is actually Italian, or what it was supposed to be. And the man was still saying it doesn't feel right. So the man had it appraised until a bit after he goes, the person who appraised it said, oh yes, actually this statue is not Italian, it's Roman. And his thing was correct. Multiple things. You probably have had this experience before, where you look at someone, you look at something, you look at a building, you look at a book, you look at a text message, you feel that it's wrong. Something's going on. You feel like there's something there. There's something there. You feel like it's wrong. That's what the book is. It tries to make sense of that gut feeling that you have. It tries to make sense of it. Where did it come from? How did it come? What happened there? So that's basically the whole book's premise. It's a premise of wanting to teach you about the theory of blinking. So I bought that book when I was in Los Angeles, and then I think on the way to home I bought The Lucifer Effect, which is basically a book that tells you, it's not as interesting in terms of explaining it. It's a lot more interesting of a read, which is The Lucifer Effect basically commentates on how good people become horrible people, how criminals have been nice people but now are great. The Power of Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. This book? Yes, that book. Yes, that book. So yeah, that's the book. But yeah, Lucifer Effect is good. It's cool. Blink is also pretty good. I like those two books. They're nice. Wisdom of a Psychopath is a lot nicer though. Wisdom of Psychopath is tremendously better. It's far better, it's more eye-opening, it's very interesting. I'm too broke to buy it. Time to sell books. God. I bought the books he's talking about from him. Yeah, you have. Yeah, I've rebought them. Well, not all of them. I have all of the other books except for Blink. Yeah, you have Blink. Do you have Blink? I think you do. You might have Blink, yeah. I have Lucifer Effect still, and I still have the Wisdom of a Psychopath. I gave you the Wisdom of a Psychopath to read, but I think you bought Blink off of me. Yeah, I still have Blink, yeah. There you go. You do. I was about to commentate on it. Yeah, alright. 3 chat. How long is this book so that I know how to segregate it in terms of reading? Alright. It's not that long. Huh. It's not that long. Surprisingly not that long. Oh then. That's quite interesting. I want to buy it so bad, but my wallet is crying. Please don't buy it. I love the Junji Ito books. Oh yes. Uzumaki and all that. Really good. A Blink, Ikigai, The Black Swan, and The Infinite Game. Oh yeah, The Infinite Game is really good. I could just make my roommate buy Blink and then borrow it. You could. One of my friends read the GOT books and he's waiting for the new one. And I laugh at him. Good mood today. I just woke up, so I see. The Black Swan is a good book. It is. The Black Swan's cool. Oh yes, it is. Alright. Well, chat. Okay. Alright. Today is going to be a very short stream. Sorry. It's going to be a very, very, very short stream. Incredibly short. Reasoning mostly is just because I've got work to do. We got videos needing to be made. I've got videos to make. I have the end of the month stream to make. I have the Valorant stream to like finish up. I have some work. I know. We'll spend more time together. Don't worry. I will be reading this book though. With you guys, don't worry. I will be reading it more. Just keep in mind that I might not be reading it as often. I'll probably read it in between long days. So think about it this way. Okay? I will be reading this book, or I'll be reading books every other week. So for example, this week I'm going to be like playing games. The week after that I'm going to be, well, you know, you're going to go ahead and have a reading stream. So yeah. So, game stream, reading stream. There's going to be a reading stream basically like every other week or every week. So just keep that in mind. I just wanted to test out the waters and see how I feel. Times like these, it makes me just go like, I wish I could have started reading at 8 AM. That would have been lovely. Fumiyo fun fact number 357. Did you know Fumiyo has read a book once? You make it sound like I've never read before. I've read copious amounts of books. Come on. I've read a little too many books, actually. Oh well. Those were younger days. Don't worry, I'm too busy to read books. Whoa, I never knew, Ryan. Thank you. Alright, everyone. This has been a very short time for us. It's been very, very short. But I must part ways. We must part ways. So, times like this, it's a goodbye. It's a goodbye for now. But I will be seeing you guys tomorrow on 8 AM. So don't you worry. This will be our reading for a bit. But thank you so much for coming by. I hope that you enjoyed your time here. Please, if it's morning time for you, have a good morning. Please have a good morning. Have some breakfast. Have just a wonderful day. If it's evening time for you, please remember to have a good continuation to your day. Have some breakfast, or perhaps maybe even take a nap. I swear you need to take a nap. It's good for you. Trust me, it will do you more wonders than you think. If it's nighttime for you, go to bed, please. Sleeping is a very, very, very good thing to do. But if you're studying for exams, good luck with your exams. I hope your exams go well. And please tell me how they went. Please do. I would love that. To those who are sleeping, good night and sweet dreams. You've done well today. Thank you so much for coming by. My name is Fumiyo くん。こんばんは。おやすみ。おはようございます。じゃあねみんな。愛してるよ。バイバイ。バイバイバイバイバイバイバイバイバイバイバイバイバイバイバイバイ。